Hello, and thank you for joining us for Tiger Talk today. I'm joined today with a couple members of our technology team. We have Todd Pickthorn and Karen Lundgren, and they're going to introduce themselves and talk about technology in a minute here. But first, just a couple updates and some kind of things going on in the district right now. One of the big things that's going on that we're talking about right now is our activities director, Rick Purrington. He had accepted the position as an intern for the year, and he has let me know he's ready to return to the classroom for next fall. So we're disappointed to see him leave that position, but that is a position that we have opened up that's going to be a big change in our district for next year as we fill that. And I just want to call out a thank you to Rick for all the work he's done this year to fill in those shoes when Bruce left us last year. Southview Elementary, something going on there is their PBIS team, the Positive Behavior Support Team. They've done a 2-year training with staff, and to do that through COVID, it's been a big task, but they figured that out, and they have become a state-certified PBIS school. So congratulations to the Southview team on their work with that, and certainly that's going to bring a lot of positive changes for the students with behavior management there. Middle school has something fun going on as well. You guys have probably heard about the Kindness Closet. Parents and students have heard about that at conference time. So special ed team, they've started this Kindness Closet. They have items available at no cost to students to go shopping. It's teaching some life skills with setting up the store and managing the store for the students in the class, and providing materials and resources to students in need. So they can come down and do some shopping with no cost and learning a lot of life skills for the students in the class. So it's something pretty exciting going on there. That's something that's been open at conference nights. It's going to start being open during the school day during certain school days for students to come down and shop as well. High school, big time this year. Registration's a big process this year. The students have completed their registration. That wrapped up last week. So the next steps with that is taking what all the students signed up for and figuring out how many sections of each class we offer and that sort of thing, and putting together the master schedule for next year. So it's hard to believe that we're already thinking about next year, but that's where most of our focus is now at school as we're preparing for the 22-23 school year. Also at the high school, the senior students have completed scholarship applications. So the Pride in the Tiger group that manages all the scholarships, they're going through and reading through the applications and matching up students to available scholarships and putting that all together. The awards ceremony is scheduled for May 18th, and that's going to take place at the high school again this year. Last year, that was a change from the SMSU campus. They moved it to the high school in the gymnasium. Instead of doing a full meal, they did a dessert, and that worked really well last year. So that's something that we're going to make the new tradition. So that's going to continue this year. Again, May 18th at 7 o'clock at the high schools, and we'll have the award ceremony for scholarships. That's a big event. Certainly a very appreciative thing that our Pride in the Tiger does for the community and for our students as well. Maytech announcement for this week. They shared that they had Minnesota West Technical School. They had a representative from there come and visit with the kids during their on to college time. So it's a time the students have built in their day where they're really preparing themselves for the ACT test and thinking about future. They had Minnesota West come in, and they visited with all students at Maytech. Some conversation about some post-secondary options for students. So it was an exciting thing for the kids. Just get to ask some questions of someone right in the field. That went really well. I also want to share with our community that we have a family engagement event coming up. This is something we've been doing for a few years for our EL families. March 26th is the next one scheduled. We're going to host a family literacy event for multilingual families. So these are for families that don't speak English as their primary language. We're going to gather inputs on desired daily experiences. That's something you guys have heard us talking about at school. Looking at our strategic plan for the future year, for the future years. What is it that we want school to look like and feel like when you come in, for students, for staff, for community members? That's the question we've been asking and talking about the desired daily experience. And we're going to gather that input from some multilingual families at that event that's coming up on March 26th. Finally, the last reminder I have is we have registration currently open for our early childhood and our kindergarten programs. Something that families that have questions about, you have someone of that age, the 3, 4, 5-year-old, and not sure what the best option is for next year, or thinking about registering for school, for preschool, or for kindergarten, we encourage you to reach out to Parkside Elementary and have a conversation. We also have a lot of information on our website, so you could check out the Marshall School's website to learn more about that, and we would look forward to visiting with you about registering student for school for next year. All right, those are my announcements from the district as a whole. So Karen and Todd, I'm going to let you both just maybe start with just introducing yourself, kind of what your role is and what that means, because I think you guys are a couple that work behind the scenes in the school district that families might not know, that these positions exist in the school. So Todd, I'll let you go first.
Yeah. Todd Pickthorn, District Technology Coordinator. I've been in the district for coming on 23 years in April here, so I've been here for a long time. I work with all things technology throughout the district. I know more and more things have evolved over to being digital and hooked up to the network, so that role has expanded considerably since when I first started. The number of devices and just how we use technology throughout the district. So.
Doesn't look anything I did 23 years ago.
No.
Sure,
no.
when we hired you, you probably were the department.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was like, let's make sure we have some internet connections and the phones ring.
Right.
But that certainly has become a lot different. So
Correct. Yeah.
Part of that change with the technology department has been even the creation of Karen's position. So Karen, how about you?
Yeah, my name is Karen Lundgren, and I'm the digital learning coach for the school district. I cover pre-K through 12, and my primary duties are either providing or facilitating technology training for all of our staff, as well as I play a big role in our device management, our one-to-one device management for our students.
Yeah, so Todd's role is kind of make sure that the devices all work, and your job is make sure that people know what to do with them and that they're functioning in the classroom. So yeah, very different roles that play very closely together. So we're going to talk today a little bit about the technology program and some of these big changes. We got some really fun things going on in the district right now. Yeah. Let's talk first about security, because that's certainly a big topic we hear about. So I know that you implemented a new security method this last fall. Talk a little bit about how we protect our data and what that looks like at school, because we have a lot of very sensitive data in our system. So how do we protect that?
That's very true. In a recent survey of technology leaders, when asked what one of the unmet needs for technology is in the districts, cybersecurity was ranked number one by a large margin. Cybersecurity is a target for hackers when it comes to K-12 education because of the number of devices that we have and just the amount of data that we have in a district. So we've become a target in that field. We had worked with a technology vendor to identify areas of improvements that we could make for our district to improve our security posture. And one of the suggestions, their top suggestion for us, was to enable two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. This is where not only do you need to provide a password to gain access to an account, but you also need to get an additional step, whether it be a text message or a code on your phone to...
Like when I'm logging into my iPhone, when it rings on my computer to say, enter this code.
Yep, exactly. And you see this a lot with banking websites and credit card websites and so forth. It's just another step to verify it really is you that's trying to log into that account and use those resources. So we enabled that for all of our staff this past fall, and I think that's a good security step that we took to kind of protect our environment. A couple of modifications we made to this was that we made it so that if you're on premise at one of our schools, or if you're using our school issued devices, that it wouldn't prompt you for those additional steps. It would just let your password be enough, which makes it easier and less intrusive for the staff to use. So a lot of people don't even realize that they're protected, even though behind the scenes their accounts are all protected with this. We also have a policy that only allows our accounts to be logged into from within the United States. That's called a conditional access policy, where they have to be within a certain environment in order to get there. So
if someone from a different country is trying to log in, they probably aren't one of our students in class, typically. So yeah.
Right. So.
I'm going to veer off and ask you one question we hadn't prepared ahead of time, but just thinking about, you mentioned the number about our school issued devices. About how many devices do we have issued from a district?
Well, we have.
I won't hold you to the exact number.
We have approximately 3,500 devices that are on the network on any given day. So.
Yeah, so as we think about managing those devices and keeping that up, there's a lot going on. You think about at home, something's not working on your device, it's one thing, but we're talking pretty big rollout. You know, and the part of the benefit of having a one-to-one device is students are able to bring devices home, but certainly one of the keys to make that work is they'd have to be able to access through the internet, because that's how everything works now, right?
Yep.
So we know that not all families have as good of an internet access at home as others, or some maybe don't have access to internet. I know there's some additional things available for some internet access assistance. What does that look like for families, and how would they access that?
Yeah. So on that survey that I talked about before, the next item on their agenda was to address home internet access. Marshall Public Schools has available a limited number of Kahoot Smart Spot devices, which is a wireless device that they can take home that allows them to have internet in their home using the wireless signal through Verizon, in this case, to access the internet. So we have some of those available that they could check out for free. It's meant to give them internet access where they wouldn't have that otherwise. We also have, in addition to hotspots for students, we're working with Southwest coaches to provide internet access on all of our route buses. This was made available through a grant that I applied for that allowed us to purchase devices that go on the buses that give them internet access on those route buses, so they can complete homework when they're on those bus rides. Some of them are close to an hour long, I understand. So,
Right.
so it's a good opportunity for them to log in and get some homework done. These devices are kind of meant to supplant that homework gap, they call it, where students don't have access to the internet, and this gives them that opportunity to get on the internet and complete that homework. Because a lot of our homework is done through the devices now. So
Think about so many pieces, not just the device, but the resources on the device through Schoology or through Teams, and in order to access their textbooks, a lot of times are online. So that's a big benefit to have that on the bus, because you're right, the bus rides are long and they have a game and they don't get home till 10 o'clock at night or something. Sometimes it's nice to have that access. So it's a good project.
right. One other program that is out there is called the Affordable Connectivity Program. It's a new program that was made available during the COVID-19 pandemic that allows families to apply for assistance for internet access at home. We have information on this on our website under the technology department. It's called the Affordable Connectivity Program that they can look up. One of the criteria for this is that they participate. There's a number of criterias, but one of them is that if they participate in our free and reduced lunch program, they automatically would qualify for this. So this provides them with like a stipend of $30 a month towards internet access.
Sure. And if someone has a question about it, you said it's on the website, or they could call one of you guys and help them.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
either
for
Todd
sure.
or Karen at the school, we could help explain how that works and connect people to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. I want to touch base on Southview a little bit. So Southview Elementary opened up this fall, brand new state-of-the-art school. We have a lot of fun technology things taking place. So I know families walk through and they see the video screens in the hallways. There's a lot of things there. You guys talk a little bit about the technology that we have in place there and some of the new things that are taking place through in that new building.
Yeah. One of the things that I think draws your attention right away when you walk into a classroom is we have these new 86-inch interactive flat panel TVs that are in each one of the classrooms there. These are 4K ultra high definition interactive flat panel TVs that are in each one of the classrooms. These are they bring more of a collaboration and student engagement environment into the classroom. One thing that we did with these was we outfitted them with a built-in computer and a wireless keyboard and mouse. So the teacher is completely untethered from having to be directly connected to the board. They can be anywhere in the classroom and display content on those boards. So it's really a great way of using technology within that environment.
And this replaced the smart boards we have in a lot of the other classrooms.
Correct, yeah. But those would have a cord, and they would have to be in a certain spot in the room. This way they can be very mobile if they need to be, so, yeah. In addition to that, each classroom is outfitted with an audio enhancement system. So they have a independent audio enhancement system in each classroom that allows them to add the content that's displayed on the board to the audio enhancement, or to just have a lapel mic on them that amplifies their voice so they can be heard throughout the classroom. So great to have audio enhancement in each one of those classrooms. One other thing that we have at Southview is digital signage. We implemented a system that has up to 3 different independent channels that allow us to display content throughout the building. If you walk around Southview, you'll see a bunch of these interactive screens throughout the building that have different things on them. In the cafeteria, of course, it's the lunch menus and different events that are going on throughout the building. So those have been really nice as well, having those interactive displays. We also have breakout rooms at the end of each hallway that has a wireless display that people can go into those classrooms, small rooms, and do collaboration and wirelessly transmit to those displays. So that's another nice technology feature in the building. But overall, I think Southview's got some great technology, and I'm excited for things that they'll do with that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about that. 23 years ago, we started in the district about the same time. These things, none of these things existed.
Right.
You know, I went to school, we still had blackboards on the wall. Yeah, whiteboard was a fancy thing. So, good. Karen, let's talk a little bit about your world. So Kahoot is something that I know you mentioned you're going to use with the school board. We have a school board presentation coming up. You're going to use a Kahoot with them. So talk a little bit about what Kahoot is and how that maybe plays a role in our education and in instruction in classrooms. And then I know that you also have mentioned the technology survey. Can you talk a little bit about that survey and maybe what you learned from that maybe plays into why we would use Kahoot?
Sure. Yeah, I'm looking forward on Monday to involving the school board with our presentation. I'm going to be asking them to be active participants on Monday night. And I'm going to do that through using a resource called Kahoot. Kahoot is a game-based learning platform that we use it in many classrooms throughout the district, from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. It's really applicable in any grade level. Some of the things it's used for is test prep, review, drill and practice, knowledge checks, even formative assessments. It can be used for. It's very, very adaptable to the environment. The learning games, or Kahoots, in other words, they're user-generated multiple choice or true and false questions that the teachers create, and they're accessible through a web browser or through the Kahoot app. So on Monday night, using Kahoot, we're going to review some of the highlights from our most recent annual technology survey. Some of those highlights that we're going to be taking a look at, or results from our survey, was first off, what percentage of teachers are asking their students to use their devices daily in the classroom? We're also going to take a look at what's the platform most used by students in grades 5 through 12 to complete their homework. And I say grades 5 through 12 because those are students who are taking their devices home each day.
Right.
We're also going to look at the frequency of use of our learning management system, along with digital or online textbooks and curriculum. And finally, we're going to take a look at some of the professional development results from that survey, and what do the teachers feel in the area of professional development would be most helpful for them. So that's what we're going to do with Kahoot on Monday. The teachers use it, again, frequently in the classroom, and it's an awesome tool, and it's free.
Right. One of those expressions, our kids, if you say we're doing a Kahoot, they'll know exactly what we're talking about, where their parents might not be as familiar with it.
Right.
Fun. All right, I want to have a little vocab lesson for our listeners. Yeah. You guys talk about interoperability. That's a word I hear you guys use a lot. Would you talk a little bit about that and what that means from a technology perspective?
Yeah. So from a technical standpoint, or what this is the ability of computer systems or software to exchange and make use of data. So what we're doing with this is we're using Infinite Campus, which is our student information system, and we're trying to share that information out to other resources. And the goal of that is to make it so that it's easier for applications to automatically sign students in, to put the students in the proper groups for those applications, to just make it seamless and easy for the classroom to access resources. And I think that plays a big part in the usage that we see in a lot of our applications, because we've made it really easy for them to go in and just have direct access to the resources and automatically log them in and have the groups already created for them. So that is the goal of interoperability.
So you talk student information system, where it's pulling information from. That's like campus, or the kids might see parent portal at home. So when the parent goes in and registers, they put this information in. That it comes to our student information system, so we can take all that information. That's what we use to build schedules, and so we're not re-entering the same information every time we go to their system.
Correct.
Just really streamlines that whole process, so we know we have the right information it's pushing out, so class lists automatically load to. And there's a program we use for a lot of that. It's called Clever, correct? That's might be what the kids are familiar with.
Yep, the kids are familiar with Clever. That's a tool that has all the different software, educational software resources available, and they log into the Clever portal, and then from there they just click on the applications that they want to use. And like you say, it helps us in terms of efficiency, getting them in those groups, and it also helps with security, because we're not entering that data in a bunch of different places. We're only entering it into Infinite Campus and sharing it out to those resources. So we know what is in place and what we need to do to make those resources available.
Right, and of course you mentioned security. It's not just any website someone might choose. These are vetted websites that you guys go through and maintain the security policies and all that before any of this happens. So it's all part of our cybersecurity that we started our conversation with. So
within Clever, we're able to identify what data we want to share with each one of those. So we're able to share just the basic information that we need to for each application.
Right, great. Karen, can you talk a little bit about professional development and what kind of opportunities we offer there?
Yeah, well, COVID has certainly made an impact on how we look at professional development today, and really opened our eyes and brought us some new strategies on how we can deliver professional development. Throughout COVID, we did a lot of online professional development. But now we're seeing that more and more workshops and conferences are starting to go back to in-person. So wherever that's applicable, we'll provide staff those opportunities to attend outside workshops and conferences. On March 28th, we have a professional development day in-house. We'll be offering quite a large menu of professional development opportunities for our staff on that day. Other things is, I continue to work with staff throughout the course of the school year to support them individually or in small groups or departments in their classrooms, with bringing them new resources, working on integrating new ideas into their classroom, and just provide some general support in using those technology tools in the classroom. Probably one of the things that has been very popular for us, and thanks to you, Jeremy, for getting me started with this, is we do a monthly newsletter, a technology newsletter. And I really try to put a lot of focus on that newsletter, on providing tips, tricks, ideas, new available resources, updates, just general district technology information, because this gets sent to all of our staff throughout the entire district. So I'm reaching everyone with that newsletter.
Right.
So yeah, those are the primary formats that we use.
Good. I know I always appreciate the newsletter, and so there's always even something as simple as Microsoft Word that I use all the time, and I think I got this, and I think, or Microsoft Excel, and Todd will come say, well, did you know you could do, I had no idea I could do that. So a lot of these features that we don't know and that we talk about, so it's nice to take that time and do that. You mentioned COVID-19, and certainly that's something that, while it's nice to see some of that changing a bit, we certainly know that it has a lot of impact on a lot of things that we do. Thinking about e-learning days, so we have those as an option for us. Now, those between pre-COVID and post-COVID, they look a lot different because we learned a lot about remote learning through that. So can you talk a little bit, Karen, about what an e-learning day looks like now post-COVID?
Yeah, I would say because of our COVID experiences, that has really strengthened our e-learning program. In the area of the continuity of instruction, prior to COVID, it was, we tried to put together a continuity of instruction plan or process, but I think COVID taught us that yes, we can do this. We, our use of online content and our digital tools during COVID just skyrocketed, and I think just that experience in itself helped staff to be able to facilitate an e-learning day better.
Right. Things that we just thought we couldn't do or we didn't know how to do, all of a sudden we're forced to do it, and thought, okay, we do have the tools to do this. And I think that's something where our district was very fortunate, because you guys had the vision to have this foundation laid where we had tools in place and curriculum pieces in place where we could make that happen. Teachers had experienced using Teams and using Seesaw and using Blooms and some of these simple communication things where we could connect to our students. And we have online textbooks that was already in place. Students already bringing devices home, and everyone already had. For the most part, our students are already doing that. So to make that happen, that's big benefit to our big kudos to you guys and your vision for knowing that. Even though we didn't know we were going to need it, we knew that these were tools that could do these things, and certainly some PD had to take place through that to make it happen on a large scale. But because of the work you guys had done, that was a smooth process overall for us. So certainly appreciate your work with that. We are almost out of time, but before we run out of time, what is one thing, maybe for each of you, that you would like our community to know about our technology program in Marshall that we haven't maybe already talked about?
Yeah, I would say with our one-to-one program, I feel that we're in a very good spot with technology in our district. You mentioned that we were in a good spot when it came to the COVID pandemic. I think that was because of years of gathering information and kind of having a one-to-one program in place. There's a lot of districts that did not have one in place at that time. We also had migrated a lot of our data and all of our resources to cloud-based resources, so they could be accessed from anywhere. So I really think that having that in place helped us tremendously, and I just feel that we are very fortunate to have the environment that we have in Marshall with that technology integration, and we've got great staff. I mean, we've got some people working with technology in our district that are really good at what they do. So,
yeah, I would reiterate that same thing that Todd said. We have a very strong, cohesive department that I think everything just for us just flows and works so nicely, and we have the tools, and we have the support in our department as well to support the teachers and students.
So we should mention before we close the technology department. We had you guys here today, but it is a much larger department. We have technology guys that go, the tech guys that go to the buildings and kind of help troubleshoot. But we also have at each site through the media centers, we have some help there too. So a lot of people play a role in that and making it work as smoothly as it does in our district. So
very true, very true.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you guys for joining today and sharing about our technology plan with the district. And to all of our viewers, we appreciate your time and for watching Tiger Talk today.
Thank you.